newspapers now. We're joined again by life coaches Kate and Tiff. I know the story that you wanted to start with is higher tax for 9 in 10 drivers. What's your verdict on this one then, ladies? We had the budget announcement this week. And we were led to believe that we'd all be perhaps a little bit better off, but it seems that drivers are going to be hit really hard in the pocket. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's easy when you look at it from your own perspective to immediately focus on the financial implications of this. So I think my car tax is due at the end of the month, so I'm going to immediately see the impact of that. But it's also really important to focus on the bigger picture here, which is around the climate and the environmental issues. And something has to be done to try and minimise the amount of cars on the roads. And I guess this is one of the ways to have that impact.
Sorry, go on.
Great point that you've raised there. The only problem that I can see with that is that lots of families in particular, I'm talking here, have no other means of getting children to school or getting themselves to work so they can support a family than to drive a car. And these are the people that are going to be hit really hard. We were led to believe that the tax was going to be put on these gas guzzlers, as the term, both in the showroom and then by raising the taxes on them. But according to this article here, it's typical family who are going to be hit hardest in the pocket because the raises on their car tax is actually going to be higher in relation to their earnings, if you like. So they're the ones that are going to see, they're going to lose out, really. So what do you think of that? I mean, I take your point about the environment, but unless the public transport is made better, what choice do we have?
Well, I think you're right. I think it is about choice, and I think there are choices that can be made about the kinds of cars that you can go out and buy. I mean, I know for some people they already have a car and it'd be an added expense to go and change that for perhaps one that's in one of the cheaper bands. But I think we do have to, globally look at the issues that are around at the moment. And I know my kids, when I actually do take them on the bus or take them on public transport, love it. They think it's a great treat.
Fantastic. Yeah. And sometimes measures like this are needed to shock us into getting out of our routine, because it's easy to drive a car that guzzles a lot of gas and not think about the implications.
Well, exactly, and we do a lot of stuff on autopilot, don't we? So if you've got into the habit of doing certain journeys by car and so on, you probably don't know the bus times, the train times and so on. It takes something like this to shock you into looking at that with fresh eyes, really. But you made a good point, Nikki. The public transport has got to be good enough to be a real genuine alternative for people, otherwise they're just not going to take it. And people will only make the change across to public transport when the pain of not doing it exceeds the pain of doing it at the moment.
But I think there does have to be some turnaround in public transport, especially like I say, it's not reliable. And for people like ourselves who start work unsocialised, I have no other option than to drive a car into work. So anyway, on a lighter note, it's the final of Dancing on Ice this weekend. Very exciting stuff. Now, I haven't watched it religiously, but I do know who's in the running. And we've got 3 competitors from the Northwest.
We have indeed. How exciting. Well done. Indeed. Well, we're definitely a big Dancing on Ice household. My little girls absolutely adore Dancing on Ice. I think it's the best thing. And I mean, it's not very often that there is a really decent bit of feel-good telly that you can just sit and watch as a family, and it's really uplifting and so on. And I think it's great for all of us, really, not just for the kids, because what you get to see is a whole host of people who are very well known for being good at something. Putting themselves out there, doing something that they've probably never done in their lives, and just putting themselves out there. And there's a message in that for all of us, I think, really, because self-confidence, which is what that article is really all about, comes from doing the things that you don't think you can do. It's the old feel the fear and do it anyway factor, isn't it? And I think this is a great example of that, and it's a great example for the kids.
It's interesting that you should say that, though, because there's a lot of scepticism around these reality TV shows about whether it's just churning out rubbish TV. I'm with you, though. I think, particularly with all this doom and gloom that's around us, it's just nice to see somebody perhaps make a bit of a wally of themselves, but even more so, like you say, to get behind the people that really kind of prove themselves. Chris Fountain is a perfect example from Hollyoaks. It's wonderful. He's in the final this
And I suppose the other byproduct is that young people might watch this and then get out and do something they otherwise wouldn't. They might start skating or dancing or something completely different.
I was going to say the difference with something like this is obviously that there's a reason, there's a purpose behind it being a reality show, which is about the skating. And all these people are getting to learn about things that they perhaps never knew they were capable of. I mean, Chris Fountain, you said, is a great example, but Suzanne Shaw as well. I bet she never thought that she'd be able to do something, as talented as she's obviously proving to be.
She's working herself back into people's hearts as well, because she was a bit unpopular for a while, wasn't she?
She was.
And we've got to move on to Sport Relief very quickly. This is in the Daily Star today. What can we expect? Is it tonight that it's on?
Tonight, yeah, 7 o'clock on the Beeb, and it's great, isn't it, to have the opportunity to again see something that's really positive, uplifting, and actually making a really great contribution. It's fantastic.
And it's nice to see these celebrities, I hate that term, but using their celebrity to a good purpose. And again, like Nina made the point before about encouraging young people to do something, to raise money, but by being active, do something sporty.
Yeah,
That's the thing with Comic Relief, a lot of it just isn't very funny, is it? But with Sport Relief, everyone can have a go.
Yeah, sometimes it's funny for the wrong reasons, really, isn't it?
But a big variety of things as well, because they've got the Dancing on Ice, the celebrity version of that, and they've got The Apprentice.
Oh, The Apprentice
and a
was
tennis
brilliant.
match, I think, with Jonathan Ross in it as well. So it looks good. Good
Well, that's
lineup.
worth tuning in for. Just so it's home, Jonathan Ross playing tennis. That's BBC One tonight, is it? At 7 o'clock?
That's right, yeah.
7 o'clock.
Thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Thank you, it's been great.
We're going to go to a break now. Coming up after that, Matt's going to tell you about the fixtures coming up this weekend. See you then.